only reshaping our climate, but also our workplaces. A new joint report from the World Health Organization and the World Meteorological Organization warns that excessive heat is now one of the most pressing occupational health risks worldwide. For the first time since 1969, the WHO has updated its guidance on workplace heat stress, an issue made more urgent by record breaking heat waves and climate change. To unpack these findings and their implications, we're joined by Dr. Ivanov, lead of the Occupational and Workplace Health Program at the World Health Organization. Dr. Ivanov, thank you so much for joining us. How are you on this Tuesday?
Good morning. I'm doing fine. Best regards from Zanzibar.
Great.
It might be warmer than Johannesburg, but yeah, still cold season. But there is heat. The heat is still here.
Right.
Yes, and thank you very much for inviting me to join your emission. Africa is getting through major problems concerning heat and climate change in general. The last decade was the warmest decade for Africa. And many countries in Africa have experienced more than 90 days of extreme heat over the last decade
Mm.
compared to the previous decade. So this is a concern. North Africa is warming at the fastest range.
And this is the first update on workplace heat stress guidance since 1969. We often celebrate it when the warm weather comes, but there are also challenges to it if it becomes excessive. So, what are the other key findings that you have noted?
Well, first, that we do not wait for the warm weather to come. We get prepared. And this is the major message of this report. Workplaces, communities should be prepared well in advance with occupational heat action plans that should also include measures on how to assess the stress, the heat stress, at what time, at what point to start activating the emergency measures to act against heat stress when there is a heat wave. However, there are workplaces where workers are exposed to heat outside of the heat waves, for example, in the mines, for example, in the foundries where there is melted metal, many cases in agriculture also. So it is important to be prepared, particularly workplaces, enterprises, plantations that may experience heat stress. They have to be prepared how to assess the heat stress, how to introduce technical measures to prevent, for example, shade, for example, cooling devices, how to organize the time, the work time, the work process so that it doesn't happen in the middle of the day when it is extremely hot, how to train the workers, how to be prepared to act in case of a heat illness or injury. That is the new aspects of this report compared to 1969. The climate has made a major difference.
Are there particular sectors or regions that are most affected? Coming to mind is, I guess, those who work outside in the farming communities or agriculture, maybe.
Definitely, agriculture is one of the sectors that is heavily affected. Also, construction.
Mm.
Construction is in principle very dangerous sector, but heat leads to heat syncope. People just faint, and it is a natural reaction of the body when the blood goes into the periphery of the body, and then the brain gets a little less blood, so people faint just to get horizontal position. But if you faint from the scaffolding up there on the construction site, that means death.
Absolutely. It's an urgent thing.
Other also
Yes, continue.
other 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 sectors that are heavily affected is, for example, healthcare. Sometimes working in full personal protective equipment like a coverall that we used during the Ebola outbreaks. Sometimes it was used also during the COVID. It is basically like working in a sauna.
Mm.
It causes a lot of heat, it causes a lot of sweating, and it is exhausting. Other examples can be, for example, pressing, where the people use irons and a lot of humidity. Any kind of work environments that have a lot of humidity also are prone to heat stress.
In what ways exactly then does productivity on the part of workers get affected with heat stress?
Has been demonstrated to reduce productivity. For every degree above the 20 wet bulb globe temperature index, which is a combination of air temperature, air flow, humidity, and radiant heat, for every increase, every great increase of that, it is by 2 to 3%. So you can imagine, for example, agriculture, how it gets affected. People are less productive, but also the cows, they give less milk, the crops give less harvest, so it affects everything. Construction also, other people working in greenhouses, even people working indoors but without air conditioning.
Mm.
That is also reducing productivity, and it's leading to errors, mistakes.
Mm.
That is also hitting the economy.
Well, looking ahead, Doctor, we see that this is going to be an urgent thing that needs to be taken action on, also given the rise in global temperatures that you cite. But what role should international collaboration play then in advancing this?
The role of international collaboration is first to raise awareness. Many people in Africa think, oh, we're used to the heat. We are used to the heat. We know how to hold the heat. We know how to deal with the heat. Yes, that is true. But we have totally new ways of working, totally new industries are coming to the region. Absolutely, this is not the hundreds of years of traditions that we have with the heat. We have also new constructions, we have totally new measures. And it is important to get prepared.
Mm.
It is important to provide clean air, to provide safe drinking water, to provide shade, to provide emergency support to all workers who work out there and those who are working indoors and who might be exposed to heat.
All right.
International collaboration is also very important to promote the exchange of good practices. For example, South Africa is a champion in dealing with occupational heat. The government
Mm-hmm.
and even the president of South Africa have championed measures
Mm.
on dealing with heat, starting from national heat alerts, then heat action plans for employers, recommendations. So there are a lot of things that South Africa can share with other
Mm.
countries. But the context differ. One is the climate in South Africa, another is the climate here in
Right.
Zanzibar, in Tanzania. Totally different is the
So
climate
the
in
strategies
Morocco.
will need to be
So
unique.
that
Dr.
is
Ivanov, we're completely out of time, and I thank you again for your time and for joining us there in Tanzania, Zanzibar. Dr.
yeah.
Ivanov is lead of the Occupational and Workplace Health Program at the World Health Organization, talking about the importance of zooming into heat stress and how it impacts on workers' health and productivity. 8 o'clock Central African time it is. Let's get our news update. Here's Onele Nzinzi, and then we'll have sports with Musibudi Makura.
SABC News.